So let me guess, you've been spending all day in bed, doom scrolling for hours, eating junk food because you can't be bothered to cook, ignoring your to-do list, your friends, your goals, and somehow at the end of the day, you feel guilty, disappointed, and quite honestly, disgusted with yourself. What you're experiencing right now is called a rut, and I'm here to get you out of it. Being in a rut is not the same thing as being lazy. When you're in a rut, you're kind of stuck, and there's a method to get you out of that. The first thing is, stop treating the symptoms of what you're going through. Most people start out by downloading productivity app, buying planners and journals in order to solve this problem. But what you're doing is addressing the symptoms of the problem, not the problem itself. Before you buy a planner or a journal or download another app, you need to ask yourself, what exactly, why exactly am I in this right now? What exactly is the problem? Example could be that you're burnout, depressed, grieving, or going through something. Perhaps you feel overwhelmed, or you failed at something, or you lost your confidence. Let's say, for instance, you go to see a doctor right now. If you get to the hospital and you tell them, I'm having a headache, they won't just simply give you a Panadol and tell you to go home. They will need to diagnose what the problem is. Headache is actually a symptom of a problem. Headache is not the problem itself, even though that's what you're presenting with. So what they need to do is find out what the problem is. Why exactly do you have a headache? And that's why in the hospital we always ask for your history, or even need to run some tests in order to figure out what the problem is. Headache is only a symptom of an underlying issue, just like you being in a rut is a symptom of an underlying issue. So if you're in a rut right now, there's a reason why you're in a rut. We can't just say let's fix this whole problem and ignore the issue, because if we fix it, you're going to come back to that eventually again because you didn't fix the problem. So back to you, there's a reason why you're facing this right now. You didn't just wake up and find yourself in a rut. Something led you to this position. So the first thing you need to do is to stop suppressing your emotions and let that thing out. Don't ignore the problem. You can't solve the problem by ignoring the problem. You need to let your emotions out. Whatever that issue is, you need to deal with it right now. I understand it's difficult to sit with difficult emotions, but that's the only way you can work on it, by letting them out and not by suppressing them. What exactly led you to this point? Let us handle that first. The second step out of this rut is to stop waiting for motivation. Have you ever noticed how you always tell yourself, I'm going to go to the gym when I have more strength, or I will start meal prepping from this weekend, or I will start exercising from next week, and somehow you never get to do those things? Most people tend to think that successful people are very motivated people, and that is not true. Successful people are successful because they are disciplined enough to act even when they don't feel like doing something. Motivation is an emotion, and guess what? Emotions will always fluctuate. Some days you wake up excited and pumped and ready to go out there and conquer the world, and guess what? Some other days you wake up tired, stressed, overwhelmed. That's just how life is. If for some reason your habit depends on your mood, it means whenever there is a fluctuation in your mood, your consistency will disappear, or you fail to do things simply because you don't feel like doing them. You need to change your mindset from thinking that motivation comes before you do something to actually knowing that motivation comes after you do something. Think about it. You don't feel like going for a walk or going to the gym, but halfway into that walk you get excited, or you're happy that you started that walk. You don't feel like reading, but after reading a few pages you get excited and it's easier for you to continue reading. Action is what creates momentum, and momentum is what creates motivation. That's why I said motivation comes after you do something, not before you do it. If you struggle with motivation, this is something you can do. Always say yourself, I'm going to do this thing for 5 minutes, and if after 5 minutes I don't feel like doing it, then I'll stop. I'll give an example. Let's say for instance you don't want to go for a walk, right? Get ready and tell yourself, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes, and if after 5 minutes I don't feel like continuing, then I'll go back home. The same thing applies to reading or studying. You don't feel like studying, tell yourself, I'm going to open this book and read for 5 minutes, and if after 5 minutes I still don't feel like doing it, then I'll stop reading. Over to cleaning. Your house is a mess, you don't feel like cleaning up. Tell yourself, I'm going to start cleaning, and if 5 minutes into this cleaning I still don't feel like doing it, then I'll stop. This applies to everything in life. Whenever you need to do something but you don't feel like doing that thing, give yourself 5 minutes to do that thing, and if after that you don't feel like, guess what? You can just stop. But most of the time you will keep going because the hardest part was actually starting that thing, not doing it. Starting is always the hardest part of something. That's why I say start and then you can stop after 5 minutes. 90% of the time you will actually continue doing that thing because the hardest part was starting that thing, not doing that thing. The other side of it is that sometimes we actually avoid doing things because they're too difficult or they seem too big for us to do. I'll give an example. Let's say for instance you want to clean your entire apartment. Of course, clean an entire apartment is a big job. What if you tell yourself, I'm going to make the bed first, and by the time you're done making the bed you can just say, you know what, let me vacuum the room, and little by little you can complete that task. Rather than thinking of it as a whole picture, you can break it down into fragments. Personally for me, the hardest part of exercising is thinking about how long I'm going to spend exercising. Imagine telling myself I'm going to walk 10,000 steps. 10,000 steps is a lot of steps, but in order to start I just tell myself I'm going to put on my gym clothes and take a few steps, and once I take that step it's easier for me to continue. The same thing applies to reading. Instead of telling yourself I'm going to read this whole chapter, just tell yourself let me read 2 pages, and by the time you start reading it, it's easier for you to read the entire chapter. All I'm saying is find a way to break down things and make that habit so small that your brain has no reason to resist doing it or find excuses not to do it. The next one is change your environment before you try to change yourself. Does this happen to you? You tell yourself I'm going to spend 5 minutes on social media just to catch up, right? And before you know what, 5 hours is gone and you're doom scrolling. Or you get into bed to rest for like 20 minutes and before you know it, 3 hours is gone and you're still in bed. It's not that you're lazy, rather your environment is is actually influencing you more than you realize. One thing I have learned is that your environment is always communicating to your brain what to do. Let's say, for instance, whenever you're feeling down, your bed is where you go to eat, to sleep, to watch movies, Netflix, YouTube, TikTok. Eventually, what's going to happen is your brain will start associating your bed with being unproductive. So whenever you get to your bed, your brain sort of turns up because it feels like this is the environment where we are unproductive. So without you even knowing, anytime you go to your bed, you are sort of reinforcing that habit without even realizing it. And this is why it's difficult to become productive in an environment where you have been unproductive or where you have been lazing around and procrastinating. Sometimes a change of environment is actually very good for your brain. You need to make your environment work for you, not against you. I'll give an example. Most of us are used to doom scrolling now, right? So anytime that your phone is within reach and you pick it up, guess what's going to happen? You start doom scrolling. That's just how that works. If you're hungry and go to the kitchen right now and on the counter there's junk food, guess what you're going to eat? That junk food, because it's within reach. We like to think that we're making a conscious effort all day long to do something, but what you don't realize is that sometimes your response to things is actually based on what's in your environment. You eating junk food is not always a conscious effort. It's because there's junk food in the environment and that's what you are responding to. Doom scrolling for hours is not a conscious effort. You are simply responding to your environment. That phone is in your environment, and what you do around the phone, you always doom scroll. So whenever you get into your phone, the first thing you do is you start doom scrolling. That's just how habit works. So what you need to do is stop depending on your willpower and set yourself up for success. How do we do this? By creating spaces with purpose. One thing that will help you is giving every space a different job. I'll give an instance. Your bed should be where you sleep, not where you work. Your desk is where you work, not where you doom scroll. Your dining table is for eating, not reading, and your reading chair is for reading, not doom scrolling. The more consistent you are in giving these spaces different jobs, the more your brain starts to associate that area with that particular job. And eventually what happens is whenever you sit on your work desk, you go straight into working, not doom scrolling. Imagine if you get into the habit of working and scrolling at the same time. Whenever you sit down there, you feel this urge to pick up your phone. But if anytime you sit on your desk, you go straight into work and you do nothing else, your brain starts to associate that desk with you just working. So whenever you sit on the desk, you automatically go into work mode, and that's what you want. This change of environment also includes you leaving the house, because I know that sometimes when you're in a rut, you tend to seclude yourself and stay home alone. So you need to step out of the house, go to a coffee shop, a mall, a park, go see a friend, anything at all that lets you leave the house, go do that thing. You'll be surprised how much a new environment can somehow change your mindset. The last thing we need right now is to have you suffocating at home. So we need you to step out of the house and go do something outside. And finally, you need to do a reset of your environment. I have been in a rut, so I know how this goes. Sometimes in a rut, you tend to let your room or your house get messy. Yes, if your room is a mess, your brain is a mess. I'm not asking you to deep clean the entire house, because I know that that's a lot right now, but I need you to start resetting one space at a time. So you can start today by cleaning your room, and by tomorrow another space in your house. Go one step at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. A messy house is a messy mind, because anytime you look around your space, it's also a reminder that you're falling behind in life. So you need to do something about resetting your space. Make your bed, clean the room, open the curtain, open the window, take the rubbish out. Whatever it is that contributes to your environment getting cleaner, just do that. Those small changes to your environment will make a surprisingly big difference in your mental state. The next one is move your body every single day. If you're in a rut right now, the worst thing you can do to yourself is to spend all day in bed. I know that's exactly what you feel like doing. I know that getting up is hard, but that's not helping you at all. You need to move your body. The longer you stay still and rot in bed, the harder it is for you to begin moving again. One of the biggest misconceptions we have is that exercise is for those that want to lose weight, but that's not true. Exercising is actually one of the fastest ways to change your mental state. Have you noticed that some days you wake up sluggish, but by the time you start exercising, 20 minutes into your exercise, you are full of energy? What happened is that exercise changing that mental state. Exercising energizes you, and that is the power of movement. Your body was designed to move. Think about how you spend your day. From the moment you wake up, you pick up your phone and start them scrolling. You go from TikTok to YouTube to Netflix and the rest of them. At the end of the day, you feel drained, and that's because you never poured into yourself. You might be thinking that sitting down or laying down all day is your own way of resting, but exercising is actually a form of rest as well. Exercising and movement is how you pour back into your body. So if you're in a rut, you need to move more, not rest more. And when it comes to movement, you can start small. The mistake that most people tend to make is that they go from 0 to 100. So you go from not exercising to suddenly exercising 7 days a week. It doesn't work like that. You need to start small. You're going to overwhelm yourself and you're going to burn out. Again, when it comes to movement, choose something that you like doing so you can stay consistent. Let's say, for instance, you don't like cycling, you prefer to walk. Why are you cycling? So whatever form of movement you prefer to do, just stick to that. The best exercise is the one you do, not the one they tell you. So anything you can stick to, just do that. Whether it's a 10 minutes walk, 20 minutes walk, stick to doing that, okay? The next step is stop feeding your brain with junk. We spend a lot of time talking about junk food, don't eat junk food. Junk food is not good for your body. But who talks about junk content? Yes, some of the contents that you consume is actually junk, and you're feeding your brain junk. The way junk food can mess up your body is the same exact way that junk content can mess up your brain. Think about how you consume content. From the moment you wake up, you pick up your phone and you jump from Instagram to TikTok, from TikTok to YouTube, back to TikTok to Instagram. You know what I mean? So what you're doing is, from the moment you wake up, you start feeding your brain junk food that does not even help it. So the same way we advise not to eat junk food for breakfast, lunch and dinner, that's the same way you should actually not feed your brain junk food for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So think of content as you eating food for the brain, what are you feeding your brain? And before anyone misunderstands me, I'm not in any way trying to say that content is bad or content is evil. I feel like content can be like a force for good. All I'm saying is when it comes to content, you have to be intentional with your consumption. Don't eat everything that is shown to you. Imagine feeding yourself junk for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What's going to happen to your body after a few days, after a few weeks, and after a few months? Eventually, the thing that you're eating will start showing in your body. So the same way you consume content, the content you consume daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, eventually that thing will start to show in your own life. Again, when it comes to the body, we have moments of fasting, yes. So we're not constantly eating. We actually give the body time to fast, to process the food, and to rest and reset. The same thing should also apply to your brain. You should not be constantly consuming content. You should give your brain time to sit and process what you've consumed and rest and reset. We live in a world where we have constant stimulation. You're in the shower and you're listening to music or to a podcast. When you're driving, you're listening to something. When you're walking, you're listening to something. You're always listening to something. You're always consuming something. When does your brain actually have time to sit in silence and reset? Some of the greatest ideas and thoughts you will ever have will always come in silence or moment of self-reflection. That is why you need a period of fast for your brain to rest and reset. Learn to leave your phone alone. If you're going on a walk, you don't always have to go with your phone. Go out there and sit with your thoughts, pray, meditate, whatever it is that you need to do. Just give your brain time to sit on its own and not consume anything. Just moment of silence, moment of fasting is good for your brain. The next step is stop trying to change overnight. The fastest way to crash and burn out is to try to do everything at the same time. So now people go from a rut and suddenly it's like, okay, now I'm going to start waking up by 5 a.m. I'll exercise, I'll cook, I'll do this, and it's like a million things that you want to do. So you want to go from 0 to 100. That's the fastest way to burn out. If you've been in this rut for like weeks or months, you cannot overhaul your life in a matter of 2 days. And that is what people try to do, is when they're in a rut, they suddenly want to change and they want to change everything at the same time. It doesn't work that way. It took you weeks or months to get into this rut. Give yourself the grace to get out of it gradually as well. Wanting to change everything at the same time is you asking too much of yourself, and that is not realistic. What I need you to do is small and steady. Start small but be steady. Example is all the previous things I already mentioned. Let's say for instance, I need you to start exercising, right? I don't want you to start exercising for like 2 hours every day. That's not realistic, but you can exercise for 15 minutes every day, and because that amount of time is short, it's easier for you to stay consistent compared to you doing it for like 2 hours every day. It's easier to exercise 10 minutes every day than for you to exercise 2 hours today and not exercise again until like, in 2 weeks time. So start small but be consistent, and again, try to fix like 1 or 2 things at a time. Don't try to fix every single thing. Don't go from nothing to everything. So go from nothing to 1 or 2 things, and eventually, the more you go, the more you can add other habits there. The next step is start keeping promises to yourself. If you say you're going to do something, I want you to stick to doing those things. I'm going to ask you a question. Imagine you have a best friend who likes to make promises. So you guys are going out and they call you like, oh, I'll be there in 10 minutes, and they never show up. Or they tell you, I'm going to call you tomorrow, and they don't call you tomorrow. Or they make promises all the time to do something for you, but they end up not doing it. They like to make promises, but you are sure they will never keep to it. Would you trust that person? Probably not. So why do you expect yourself to trust yourself if you make promises to yourself, but you never keep to them? That is why I need you to become a person of your word. If you say something, like if you say I'm going to do something, I want you to do that thing. Learn to keep promises that you make to yourself. So you're in a rush and you want to get out of it, and you know what you need to get out of it, and you tell yourself, I'm going to start doing these things. I want you to stick to doing those things to get yourself out of that rut. Think about how many times you make promises to yourself. I'm going to start reading, I'm going to start exercising, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start doing that, and you don't do that. What happens is that you are chipping away at your self-confidence. That is why you don't trust yourself, because when you say something, you don't do it. So I need you to start building back your self-trust, and the way to go about it is whenever you say you're going to do something, stick to that and do it. Which brings us to the next one. Build systems, not goals. This is something I talk about all the time. We need to have systems in place, not just the goals that you want to achieve. Whatever goal it is that you have in mind, what is the system for you to get to that place? A goal is simply a destination you want to get to, whereas a system is the road to that destination. Let's say for instance, I want to travel to, let's say, Switzerland. So my goal is Switzerland, and the system is how I will get to that Switzerland. So first I need to buy a ticket, right? And then I need to drive myself to the airport and then board the plane to get there. So it's possible for me to say that I want to go to Switzerland and buy the ticket and somehow never get to Switzerland because I didn't take the steps necessary to get to that place. That is why systems is important. A goal is good, but a system is even much better than that goal. So I told myself I need to start reading more. Reading more is the goal. So what is the system for me to start reading more? I always have a book on my bed, so that the moment I get into bed, I pick up that that book and start reading. That way I make it easier for me to achieve that goal because I already have a system that points me to that goal. Imagine saying you want to read but there's no book in the house. How is that going to happen? So the system sets you up to actually achieve that goal. One of the best ways to make a system work for you is by making it impossible to forget. I'll give you an instance. Let's say for instance your goal is to drink more water. A system would be like to have a bottle of water close to you at all times. Your goal is to read a book. Your system is there should always be a book on the desk or on the bed. Your goal is to exercise every morning. Your system is every night bring out the workout clothes and the shoes and keep them very close to the bed. Another one, your goal is to take your vitamins every morning. The system could be to keep your vitamins close to your toothbrush because you brush every day. I hope you brush every day anyway. That way, whenever you see your toothbrush, you see the vitamins and it's hard for you to forget them. Make your environment conducive for the habit that you're trying to build. The next one is stop isolating yourself. I understand that when you're in a rut, we tend to isolate because you don't want to burden people with what you're going through. I understand that perfectly, but that doesn't always help. Human beings are not created to be alone. We are social creatures. So when you isolate yourself, you actually cut yourself off from the help that other people can give you. So you need to start replying back your messages. When people call you, you need to pick up, stop ignoring their calls. And also if you have someone that you trust, you can actually confide in someone. Don't underestimate how much help someone can offer you simply by you sharing what you're going through. Stop procrastinating meeting other people because this is something that we tend to do in a rut. You're like, you know what, I'll speak to them when I get better. I do that too, like I said, so I know how this works. So stop ignoring calls and messages and telling yourself I'll return the call when I feel better, because you might never feel better. Actually better for you to share it with other people and they will help you feel better instead of you waiting to feel better before you talk to them. Does that make sense? And when you're speaking to other people, stop pretending. You actually need to be honest. If you're going through something, people need to know that you're going through something. You might not always share the specifics with them, right? But let them know that you are not in a good place mentally and they will help prop you up if they are good friends. Sorry, I'm getting tired. I have a headache right now. I need to go rest. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.